What's up, gangsters? It is one of those kind of days out here at Rube Goldberg Enterprises where I feel more compelled to hold forth on video than I do to perform any actual work. So, what to talk about today? It actually has to do with the work that I have here in front of me, which is this thing. And if you're sharp-eyed, you will recognize this as the infamous Accurate Miniatures B25B Mitchell. And if you've watched any of my other nonsense, you're probably wondering why in the heck would I be building another one of these? Because it's pretty well known in my small circle of friends that I hate this kit and that I think it's terrible. And it is. And in the this is actually the Academy boxing of the kit. And in the 20 years since it was first introduced by Accurate Miniatures, things have not gotten much better. The engineering and fit issues that were present in the original are still pretty much all there. There may be a few things where they tweaked the tooling, but and made things a little bit better, but yeah, it's still terrible. So why am I building one and talking about it? The simple fact is somebody showed me the right amount of money, and I am a very weak man. So what I am going to talk about, though, is not the Accurate Miniatures Mitchell, but about the subject of commission building. And I know that some of my model making buddies are already rolling their eyes and getting ready to start slinging missiles at me because we have a tendency to kind of give people a hard time when they talk about doing commission work. And it's not that there's anything wrong with doing commission work itself. I mean, it's awesome. If you can get paid for doing whatever it is, painting, photography, sculpture, model making, whatever, then good on you. That's awesome. And yes, I apologize for the compressor. My pressure relief valve is broken and it's leaking, and I haven't fixed it yet. So, yeah, and I don't have the force of personality to just say "shut up, compressor" and have it obey. So anyway. Back to the topic at hand. The reason that we kind of tend to rag on these guys is because I'm sure you've seen these posts on Facebook where it seems like every post about a project is accompanied by the qualifier that it's for a commission build. Hey guys, look, I got a new tube of glue for my commission build. Hey guys, I'm going to order some paint for my commission build. What color do I need? Oh, hey guys, I'm doing a commission build and I need to know what pressure to set my air compressor at. And it's just silly because it seems like that these posts are way more about announcing that you're doing a commission build than they are about anything else. I mean, who cares? A project is a project. So if you need advice about it, the fact that it's for a commission build shouldn't matter. Especially when, as you kind of go through some of the posts, it becomes clear that this commission build is actually one that they're doing for a friend as a gift because they used to fly F-18s. Yeah, look, dudes, that's not commission work. That's just doing something nice for your friend. So don't get it twisted. Anyway, so why am I doing a commission project? Look, the fact is that somebody watched my YouTube channel and liked what I was doing and contacted me about doing something for them, specifically a Doolittle B25. And not only were they amenable to the price that I set for it, which I will talk about in a minute, but it was pretty clear pretty quickly that this guy was a serious collector and that he really respected my work. But most importantly of all is that he's a cool guy that I felt like I got along with really well and that it would be a lot of fun to work with as a client. So for that and another reason that I'll talk about when I get to the pricing thing, it was a pretty easy decision for me to decide to take on this project, which honestly, I wasn't sure I would ever do any commission work because I couldn't see anybody stomaching the price and couldn't see myself stomaching the sacrifice of my own time and energy for my personal projects. So anyway, here I am, and I'm doing it, and I want to talk about it. And just to make it clear, I don't suddenly feel like I'm an expert on commission work because I've got this one project that I'm doing. I did a lot of commission work as a photographer, and so a lot of my thoughts about doing it go way back into that chapter of my life. And so I kind of want to talk about three things. The first thing is how to think about commission work. The second is how to think about yourself relative to doing it and whether or not you're actually cut out for it. And third, how to price it if the other two things all sort of check out. So the first thing about commission work is you have to have a certain amount of emotional detachment from it, because you have to remove yourself from the idea that the reason someone is going to pay you for your work is because it's good. And I know that may sound confusing, and you're like, what? Why wouldn't they pay you if it's not good? Well, look, the fact is that we all like different things. There's lots of different levels of taste out there, and the simple reality is that the person who's offering to give you money for your work may have terrible taste. I mean, you just don't really know unless you know that person pretty well. So what I would encourage anybody who's doing commission work to remember is that the quality of your work comes from a whole different set of feedback. And that's from your peers and your colleagues who know the work and who can tell you, how competent you are. It has nothing to do with the person who's willing to pay you for it. That's just sort of a coincidence. The fact is, they're paying you because they like your work, yes. That just means you're delivering something to them that suits their expectations. Doesn't necessarily mean it's any good. I mean, look, lots and lots of people buy food at McDonald's, but I don't think anybody's going to argue that it's good food. Just happens to be that lots of people like the taste, and it's cheap. So you could argue that it's good for them, but on a purely objective scale, no, it's not good. So separate yourself from the idea that the quality of your work is, or that the fact that somebody is willing to pay you for your work is an indicator of the quality. And this really is something that you see a lot in the photography world, where someone will show some truly terrible photographs, and someone will say that those photographs are truly terrible, and then of course the photographer gets really defensive and says, well, obviously my photography is good because my clients are happy. Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Your clients are happy because you gave them what they wanted at the price they wanted to pay, not because it was any good. So, okay, now that we've gotten past that, the next thing to consider before getting into any commission work is, are you really wired for it? Because not everybody is. And what that really kind of comes down to is how you deal with the pressure. If the very thought of doing work for somebody else at your your hobby or your art or your craft or whatever you want to call it just makes the hair on the back of your neck stand up on end, then it's not for you, obviously. If you somehow feel like that getting paid for doing something that's a lot of fun is some kind of fraud, then it may not be for you. But the main thing is how you deal with pressure. Because as soon as somebody hands you the money or promises to hand you the money, you are under pressure to deliver according to their expectations, generally within a certain time frame, and that creates pressure. And if that pressure is going to make it where you can't enjoy it and do your best work, then again, it may not be for you. I personally, I love it. I dig that kind of pressure. It's one of the reasons why I enjoyed photography so much, because whether it was some kind of commercial photography job that I was doing, or wedding photography especially, is super high pressure, because obviously you're getting paid thousands and thousands of dollars to deliver images to people on what they hopefully are only going to do once in their lifetime, get married. So there's a lot of pressure, and not everybody deals with that well. I, for whatever reason, seem to, and I actually enjoy it. I love that challenge. And I love knowing that I have to make a deliverable within a certain time frame at a certain cost level, because that kind of sets up a little bit of a competition with myself. And I enjoy that, as twisted as that may sound. So you have to really be objective about whether or not you're truly wired that way before you even consider doing commission work, because you just don't want to get into a situation where you feel like you are a slave to a grind of your own making. Now, the last thing is, as part of not being a slave, is you obviously want to get paid, right? That's kind of the whole point of doing commission work, and you should get paid fairly. Now, there's a lot of different ways to price out art, if we just want to categorize it all under that heading. You can just throw a number at it, and if somebody's willing to pay it, then awesome, great. But that doesn't necessarily make for a good business model. And I prefer to think of things in terms of a business model. So, when somebody asks me how to price photography, or as recently happened, somebody asked me how they should price a commission model making project that they were being asked to do, my answer is that there's a pretty simple formula. And here's how I go about doing it. The first thing you have to decide is, what would you want to make as an annual salary if you were doing this as your sole source of income? Whatever it is, $40,000 a year, $50,000 a year, $500,000 a year, whatever it is. What do you think is an annual salary that you could live with, that you would feel good about for doing this type of work? Now, you have to turn that into an hourly rate. So what you do is you divide that by 2,000 hours. 2,000 because there's 52 weeks in a year, take away 2 weeks for vacation, assume each week is a 40-hour work week, 50 weeks, 40 hours each week is 2,000 hours. So if, for example, you take the average salary for model makers or whatever it is, and it's, let's say that it's $60,000 a year. Divide that by 2,000 and you have an hourly rate of $30 an hour. So you then use that hourly rate to develop a fixed bid, because you don't want to get into a situation where you have to keep going back to the client and saying, yeah, I need more hours at whatever hourly rate you've agreed on, because that just gets stressful and the clients get pissed off, and it's just, fixed bid is just way better. And this goes way back in my career as an engineer, working at contract design firms. So the first thing that you use to develop your fixed bid is the hourly rate you've decided on times the number of hours that you think it's going to take you to complete the project. And that's where your judgment and your experience really come into play, because obviously you want to make a good prediction. So let's say you decided it's going to take you 10 hours and you're going to charge 30 per, so that's $300. Then you tack on top of that all of your expenses, materials, supplies, whatever, that are specific to this particular project. So then you may have a project that you're going to quote for $400, and that is the number that the client is going to pay. And ideally, it should be in a contract. I can't stress this enough, that the whole handshake thing, especially when it's long distance and you're working via email and text and whatever, I really can't stress enough that it's important to put this stuff in writing in some way. there's just way too many ways for things to go wrong if it's not. And to me, it's liberating knowing that everybody is on the same page of the contract. So, at any rate, what I do then, and this is one of the reasons why I chose to do this project, aside from the fact that I really like the guy who's contracted me to do it, is that because as I said before, I'm competitive, even with myself. And the idea of finding out if my skills had improved and if my assessment of this kit the first time around was good enough, and improved enough to be able to say, I can do this project in a set number of hours and actually have it make some kind of business sense, really appealed to me. And that's why having that model where you develop a fixed bid based on a certain number of hours and an hourly rate is pretty good, because when you're done, you can go back and say, okay, I quoted the thing based on 10 hours. Well, it actually only took me 5. So I made double my projected or my desired hourly rate. That's awesome, and I'm awesome, and so great. On the other hand, if you're not so awesome and it actually took you 20 hours instead of 10, now you're only making half the hourly rate that you desired, and you either need to reevaluate the hourly rate, or you need to reevaluate your skills and your ability to work on a deadline. Because that's just part of being a professional at anything, is being able to work on a deadline and work to a schedule and to milestones and that sort of thing. So I really like doing it using that fixed bid model, because it gives you a way to evaluate your performance as your own tiny little business entity, aside from your performance as a purveyor of whatever it is you've been contracted to do: photography, painting, cabinet making, model making, whatever it is. Because again, two separate things. There's your business performance, and then there's your performance at the craft that you're getting paid for. So I really like that. So anyway, I think that's about all I have to say about this. I don't want to ramble on too long like I usually do, especially since I'm competing with the compressor. But I hope that if you've ever considered doing any kind of commission model making work, that all of this makes sense and that it's helpful for you to consider how you view commission work overall, how you yourself are wired relative to doing commission work, and how would you price it if someone approached you about doing it. I hope that all of this helps you kind of put everything in the proper perspective, and that if you decide to whore yourself out and build something ridiculous like a Accurate Miniatures Mitchell, don't. That you'll be happy and successful, and that you'll have good relationships with your customers. Because if all of those things are true, then commission work of any kind really can be a lot of fun and really energizing, as long as you keep everything in perspective. So anyway, as usual, I really appreciate you guys hanging out and putting up with my nonsense, and I hope you'll stay tuned. As always, much love. Take care.